Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's event. My name is Sierra Ladroma. I am the project manager for the Iowa Center's Women's Business Center. The Women's Business Center is funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration. All of you will receive an email with a form to complete after this event. This information will allow us to continue providing free educational programming for small business owners in Iowa. Feel free, and I encourage all of you to use the chat option on your Zoom home screen to add questions, comments, and just be part of the conversation. Today's story is with Nora Crosthwaite, the owner of Home Sweet Des Moines at Remax Concepts and founder of Stagerie, an online staging company. Nora has a background in IT, but switched gears in 2015 to explore her entrepreneurial side. Outside of work, Nora has a beautiful family made up of her husband, Paul, daughter, Layla, and she's also a cat mom to Frankie and Mara. Nora, I said this before, but happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
I'm so excited for you.
42 and I'm owning it.
So first question is, how are you? How have you been?
Depends on the day. Let me answer the second one. Great today. I think that the how have I been, it probably depends on the minute, but like everyone else, making it through, figuring out what I need to do well.
Yeah, I agree. Same. So I really want to chat about your switch from IT to entrepreneurship, and I guess more of what happened to get you to that point. And we talked about your no turn back point, and I would love for you to share that with everyone.
So can I ramble for a minute?
Well,
okay. So 2013, December 2013, I was visiting my mom, who was in the heart hospital in Austin. This was about a month before she passed, and she was in her mid-60s when she passed. And she was in IT for 25 years-ish, tons of patents, and worked for IBM, and basically amazing. And I took my laptop and spent the week with her at the hospital and was working. And during one of her lucid periods, she looked at me and said, "Nora, you're doing what I did. You're going to kill yourself. You're working really hard. You're trying to take care of your family. You're trying to take care of me. You're going to kill yourself." And I blew it off. "Mom, I'm fine. Don't worry. Let's focus on you." You know, blew it off. So a year and a half later, it kind of simmered. I knew that what I was doing didn't fill my cup. I was good at it, but it didn't fill my cup. I was traveling quite a bit, barely saw my then 6, 7-year-old daughter, and my husband, who is a rock star, was Mr. Dad, and working full time, by the way. And as I was finishing up a project, I was talking to my boss on the phone, and he said, "Okay, well, this is finishing up. It's time for me to find you another project." And I said, "No, I think I'm done. Don't bother. I think I'm done." And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "What? I think I just quit my job." It literally popped out. I didn't overthink it. I didn't underthink it. I did underthink it. Had no idea what was next. Called my husband and said, "Hey, I quit my job today." He didn't divorce me, which is a huge plus. I have to see if he's watching this real quick.
Paul.
Is Paul on? No, he's not. Okay, good. He's a saint. So, yeah, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had played with opening a Taekwondo school franchise. I had no idea. I played with a couple of app ideas, and 6 months later ran into a gal I barely knew at Starbucks who had just gotten her real estate license reactivated. And I asked her about the market, and after 30 minutes, she's like, "Why aren't you doing this?" And in 6 weeks, I was licensed. So that's how much thought I put into it.
That's awesome. I love that story, and I love hearing no turn back points from entrepreneurs.
It's crazy, right? That's
right,
the moment.
Yeah. So you had asked me or I looked in my notes, and there was a question in there that I was wanting to ask you, and it's, what do you want to get from today's conversation?
Part
or
of
what people get?
what I want people to get is that it is hard to be your own boss. It's bloody. It's blood, sweat, and tears. Sometimes real tears. Always real sweat. It's really difficult. And if you want it, you got it. We all feel like we have to put on this strong face. Business is great. Everything is awesome. And normally that is actually pretty true, but it takes a few years to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big part of it is, yeah, it's okay to be stressed. It's okay to be anxious. It's going to take you 3 years.
Yeah.
If somebody walks away with this message, I'll be overjoyed, and I will be even happier if they walk away with a message of stop comparing yourself to others. Because every business owner I know is out there going, business is awesome, we got this. I take that back. Not every business owner. There are some that are very good at being vulnerable. We don't all got this. We're all flying by the seat of our pants. So stop looking.
Mm-hmm.
Stop comparing, because I just might be better at putting a really good face on it than you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's a thing of, I mean, you set your own pace as an entrepreneur. There really is no race. No one's running it with you.
No, you're competing against yourself. Every day you wake up and go, can I do better than I wanted to today? Or can I do better than I did last year? Or, yeah, it's your journey. It's not mine.
Right. So this is a segue into my next question for you. Last time we chatted, you had mentioned the different stages in, I guess, in years that you experienced for your businesses. Can you talk more about what year 1, 2, 3, and so on has been like for you?
Yeah, this is actually, it's a conversation I originally had with a woman named Parity Boatwright, who is amazing and local IT security recruiting type person. And she asked, what have you learned over the last 4 years? At the time, I had just hit my 4-year anniversary of starting in real estate. And the first year was my year of selling. This was the year that anybody would say anything and I would go, yeah, but I'm a realtor. Seriously, everybody I knew I was a realtor. It was on every post. It was in every interaction. Hi, my name is Nora and I'm a realtor. And people are like, oh, okay, but we're not buying or selling, so thanks. Probably a good year of that, a good year of selling. And so much of it is, like any business, first of all, like a lot of businesses, there's a ton of competition for real estate agents. Yeah. Everybody feels like they know 7 of them. Totally fine, okay? That's fine. I don't want to take people's clients. Part of it was it takes 6 months, or it took me 5 or 6 months to get my first paycheck. And I was getting nervous, right? So that was year 1. Year 2, I started to get some business. It was getting there. I was not quite busy, but getting to where I actually had to schedule things. And now I started having anxiety all the time. Didn't sleep at night. What if I'm a fraud? What if everybody finds out I stink at this? What if my business dries up? What if it's just a fluke? What if the market crashes? What if? So that was my year of anxiety. And it was a good solid year. It really was. My next year was, okay, calming down. The business is changing for me. And it's not quite disappearing. Like, I'm starting to know more people that trust me now, and I'm starting to actually have some experience, which is huge. And I'm starting to know when to ask questions and when I got it. But it was the year of systems. I was also getting to the point where I was so busy, I was dropping balls. So that's when I hired Nora Crosthwaite, who's on here as an attendee. She is the magic behind the curtain at Home Sweet Des Moines.
Awesome. Hi, Jeannie.
Hi, Jeannie. And she keeps me grounded and sane and yells at me when I don't get things done, which is frequent.
We need those people.
Right. We totally do. We totally do. So that was when we started putting together checklists and we started setting up systems. Year 4 was our year of growth and continuing to grow. Added another agent, Tanya Martin, and started applying those systems to her as well. And it can be messy at times, but I think we're getting a pretty good system. Year 5, this year that's almost done is my year 5. I don't know what I'm going to call this yet. I think I need some distance to figure it out. But those were my first 4 years, really. And I think that the more I talk to people, the more that those first 2 or 3 are pretty standard.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell online. I'm going to pick on multi-level marketing for a second, but it's really not the only thing. You can tell who just started a new venture because it's all they post about. That's their year of selling. They're in their first year. And it's not bad, and I get it. I'm not judging. But you can see it, right? That's it. I'm with you.
So, okay, that's really cool. I have a lot of questions coming from this. For year 2, does that anxiety or that feeling of fraud or that stress, that's not gone, is it? Does it come back and visit?
On occasion. It certainly came back March 13th when we shut down the state, or we shut down schools. I was like, oh God, I had some big goals for this year. There goes those.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does to an extent. With real estate, not as much. I still get into the transactions. So if I put in an offer for a house that has multiple offers, I may not sleep that night because I'm so excited for my buyer and I want to know if they're going to get the house. Things like that, but that's different. That's just excitement. It really doesn't come back in the same way. You have the moments for sure, but I'm learning to chill on the real estate side for sure. What's interesting is with Stagerie, I am now back again, year 1.
Yeah. I wanted to talk with you about that. And if it's just, I mean, you just said it, you're back.
I'm back. Oh yeah, no, it's the same. Yeah. Did you know online state? Anyway, yes, I'm there again. I've learned to kind of chill a little bit, but the anxiety is there. The sleepless nights are there. I'm back. I'm starting over, and I don't know why I did it.
How do you face something like that and remind yourself that you're okay and to just keep going?
Well, I read a lot of history and it puts me to bed. No, that's actually not it. I think what I'm doing better about this time around is leaning on those that I can be vulnerable with. And I can say, you know what, some days are better than others. Especially with real estate, I felt like I had to put on a brave front at home as well and tell my husband it's going to be fine because I know he was in this huge risk with me. And I'm not finding the need to be that person with Stagerie as much. I can talk to him. I can talk to my crew. Some days are better than others, and I can be more open about it.
Yeah. What advice would you have for someone who is going through that year 2?
Find somebody that you can be yourself and open with. If you don't want to put your stuff out on social media, and I'm with you, I don't, right? Find somebody that can stress with you and celebrate your small wins with you and tell you it's going to be okay.
Awesome. So that leads me into the conversation of community.
Yes.
I already know community is important to you, but I would love to know why it's important.
God, that's a good one. Man, I don't know. You didn't warn me that would be hard. Holy cow. It's funny because we moved here into Des Moines 10 and a half years ago. So it's the only home my daughter remembers, but my husband and I, this is the longest we've ever lived anywhere. And we love it here. And I feel like Des Moines, first of all, Des Moines reminds me of Austin from about 1990 before it blew up, which is where I grew up. And I love that. We get more snow. I don't love that, but we also have fewer snakes, which is good. So it balances out. But as far as the feel of the city, I love it. It feels like home. And Des Moines has been so welcoming to me. And now that I do run my own businesses in life, right? I want to give back. It's important because you never know who's hurting, why they're hurting, what they need. And sometimes it's as small as, paying for a cup of coffee for the person behind you, right? Sometimes it's a big thing. It could be, sponsoring somebody's trip to compete in a pageant, or any of those things, buying a Chromebook for a student at the school. It can be as much or as little as you want it to do. So I have a story about Des Moines that when I first moved here, 2010, I think it was summer of 2011, I went back to Milwaukee to test for a new level in Taekwondo. And I sparred and I had lots of bruises, and like up and down my arm, I was bruised. And it was summer, so the next day I was back in town and I went to my Starbucks, and I was standing in line in a tank top waiting for my coffee. And this police officer came in, West Des Moines police officer, and he stared at me for a while. And finally he pulled me aside, and I think he wanted to make sure I was by myself, and said, "Ma'am, are you in trouble at home? Are you okay?" Because he saw the bruises. And I went, "Yeah, I do this to myself on purpose. I'm volunteering for this." But it touched me so much that somebody would take that time. And that's what I found in Des Moines in general. People do want to do the right thing. They do want to step up. They do take the time. So who am I not to continue that tradition?
I like that. I agree with everything that you said about Des Moines. It really is a feeling here.
Yeah, it has its problems, as any city does. And we could get into affordable housing and things like that. Absolutely. There are things that we need to fix. But I do think that people want to fix them, and that matters.
So I guess my next question is, how would someone who has just moved here or maybe is looking to grow their community, what are some pieces of advice that, especially now with the pandemic, and maybe we can even have the question relate to pre-pandemic, how would someone get involved in the community or find a space for them?
Look for your interests, period. It's something that realtors ask about all the time too, in some of the Facebook groups that I'm a part of that are not necessarily Des Moines. How can I network better? Okay, what is your interest? If it's volunteering, there are a number of organizations that are still open for volunteering. It might be smaller groups. It might be with masks on or socially distanced, but I'll call out a couple of them. Food Bank of Iowa does it. Habitat for Humanity does it. Depending on your ability to give your time, that matters. In order to build that community. There are quite a few organizations that are doing virtual events. FemCity is one that I used pre-pandemic to really grow my sphere. And FemCity is one of those that helps women, female entrepreneurs, or even want to be entrepreneurs, right? But I met a ton of people through that. They are all virtual. It is a little bit more difficult. It might take somebody stepping out of their comfort zone, getting into the Facebook group, kind of stalking to see people, and then reaching out. If there is somebody that has piqued your interest, send them a message. Hey,
it's not weird. It's not weird.
It's not weird. I've been stalking you online. Can we meet on Zoom? Can we do that? Totally. I've stalked Sanjita Pradhan at the Greater Des Moines Partnership. I stalked her for 5 months.
Great.
She's fantastic. And can we meet? I just want to know more about you. But the key for building community is showing up consistently. Even if consistency for you is once a month, it's consistent. Once a month. You don't have to go to every event. I don't. I didn't before the pandemic. Yeah, no. No, my cup overfills and then it's done. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's showing up and doing it around something that you love. One of my community groups here is Taekwondo because I love it. And my daughter and I have been going to Farrell's. She's been going for 8 years. I've been going for 10. And that's a little family. And even in the pandemic, it's they're doing virtual classes and the instructors are really good about it. And they're doing private classes with a mask and sanitizing. And so those things is what I would do. And it takes time.
Yeah.
And you have to show up to events and you have to show up for your friends. And yeah, it's hard. It takes time though. It takes a year.
What have you done in these last couple months or few months to really show your community you're still there for them, and even building your community still?
So I've continued to volunteer, very important to me. I have done the food bank. I dragged my daughter to that in April. I just had a group of 5 women with me. We went to, Jeannie was one of those. We went to and volunteered for Habitat.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, it was only 92 degrees. It wasn't too bad. And I volunteered for Habitat in July when it was about 100. So that was awesome. Drink a lot of water, like a lot more than 80 ounces, because clearly that was not enough. I try to, even if it's sharing posts, Cedar Rapids, let's pick on Cedar Rapids for a second. I feel bad that I have not assisted with the derecho cleanup at all. I've given money. And I just knew that right now I did not have room for it in my schedule, my energy, etc. So instead, a friend of mine that is very involved in that effort, Nancy Morazzi, she is taking on that effort and I'm sharing her posts. I'm just trying to help even in a small way. There are business owners that I work with for closing gifts and things like that. And I'm still ordering those gifts.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite business owners is Deshara, who's on the phone. She has Design Fetish and Mainframe Studios, and she makes a lot of wreaths for my buyers, and I'm still doing that. These earrings are made from Eva Helps at Helps Homestead. First of all, they're really comfortable. Secondly, they're kind of crazy, so I really enjoy them. So, you know, it's even things like that. Even if you don't have time to give right now, still, when you're looking to buy something, is there a local coffee shop? Not that I'm opposed to Starbucks, but I really don't stop there that often anymore. Does that make sense? I feel like that was a long answer, but there are ways you can still show your support.
So, okay, with your earrings and the wreaths, what are some other favorite local small businesses that you frequent and that you recommend?
Okay, let me go through my head.
Okay, or we could do, let's do coffee first.
Oh God, okay, that's just as long.
Yeah.
Okay, starting from the west side, I like the Coffee Smith in Waukee, Mahalo's Coffee and Mini Donuts in West Des Moines, and they're opening a new location in Norwalk in September. Sweetwater, that is a franchise, but it's a local franchise owner over by Jordan Creek Mall. Continuing around the south, Power Up Coffee and Juice Bar is opening soon, and I can't disclose much more than that, but I can't wait. That's going to be
on the lookout.
Locally owned and also very nutritious, and they're sourcing their coffee from West Des Moines, so it just continues the cycle. Other coffee shops, I love Ritual Cafe in by the Sculpture Park. Horizon Line is delicious. Also in that same area, Mars Cafe by Drake, a new one in Grimes called Light Bright Coffee. Their almond milk is to die for.
Okay, next.
Is that enough? Okay. We can keep going. Other local businesses, though, and these are primarily women-owned because that tends to be my crew.
Yeah.
Great frame up in West Des Moines and West Glen. Angela Jackson is.
Yes, she was just a speaker for our Dream Builder.
Was she?
Yeah.
I love
She's
her.
incredible. She's incredible.
She is incredible. Design Fetish and Mainframe, I already mentioned that. Fusion Boutique in West Des Moines by Sarah Jacobson owns that. I don't do a lot of shopping, so I'm trying to think where else have I been in lately. I might have to get back to you because I know I'm going to think of a few.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
I
okay?
think it's just so great that you're a small business, so you support small businesses, and you don't do it for no other reason but because you love it.
Well, and
that's what it is. That's the community.
It is. It's building up. It's keeping our profits in Des Moines. This is why I support Greater Des Moines Habitat as opposed to the national organization. If I give to Girl Scouts, this is why I give to Girl Scouts of Greater Iowa.
Yeah.
Because we gotta fix our own stuff first.
Yeah.
And then that gives us a chance to expand.
So you have been featured in articles and just in places.
Just crazy.
Yeah. You're a big deal, okay?
Totally crazy.
How did you get to that point, and how do you make those things happen where you get featured?
So things like Lift Iowa, writing for Lift Iowa and the Business Record, hey, that's free, man. You can reach out to them and get on their list. They have an article every Monday. I haven't done it since February because I hate writing and I'm not good at it and it takes a lot of effort and I need to get back to it. Go ask. Stagerie was just featured in Inman News, which is the premier real estate online publication. It's the only real estate publication I pay to read, in fact.
Wait, can you share that experience that you had with the person?
Yeah, actually, so this is a tech writer at Inman News. I read Inman News for Home Sweet Des Moines, and they talk about trends and softwares and things like that. So I emailed the tech writer in April, just, hey, I don't know you. Would you do a review on Stagerie? And he was like, sure. I mean, he emailed me in a day. I about fell out of my chair. I was screaming around the house. So it took us a week or two to schedule. And then I did a demo. We talked for an hour and he was awesome. And he actually started the call by saying, just so you know, I don't think staging is worth it. And I said, okay, walk me through what you consider staging. And he said, well, I'm in California. And the last time I had to sell a house, they told me to put all of my stuff in storage and rent about $3,000 worth of furniture. And I said, okay, that's not worth it. That's not what I call staging. You're right. Yeah, but I just asked for the interview. He finally featured it in about 2 or 3 weeks ago in Inman News. And it was a big deal to me. So you just ask. That's it. There are always organizations looking for content, looking like your organization. The Iowa Center is looking for people.
Mm-hmm.
Worst thing to say is no.
Yeah.
But if you don't ask, the answer is no.
Exactly. Just do it.
Just do it. But you have to be comfortable with getting the no too. And it's scary, man. It's so scary. And this is where the anxiety comes back. What if they say no?
Do you remember a no that you want to talk about?
Do I what?
Do you remember a no response that you want to share and talk about?
That's a great question, man. That's a really good one.
It just came up. It wasn't on my list. We can come back to it.
You know what? I talk about clients that have not used me. How's that for a no? We decided to go with somebody else, and I won't give details, and it happens. Totally fine. It's hard. It's really hard. One of my first few were these buyers I spent countless hours on very, very early in my career. We saw 40 houses, 40. And then they said, we think we're going to go with somebody else. And it was a gut punch and a huge relief all at the same time. I was getting to the point where when I saw them text, I'd be like, okay, am I ready to answer my phone? You know? And I think that when you get those no's, the biggest thing you can do is give yourself time to grieve. Give yourself time to, be angry, be frustrated. Luckily, I got that text right as I was stepping into a Taekwondo class.
Oh, yes.
And I probably kicked that bag across the room. I was so mad. And especially because you can't say, okay, my clients decided to part ways with me today. Like, that's not a thing you put on social media. Because on social media, you're killing it, right? Everybody, you're killing it. So it was so frustrating. So now what I try to do is give myself half an hour to an hour to fume, to wallow, to complain, to whimper to my husband. I mean, to curse. I might swear a little bit. And then it's over. Then it's time to put on my big girl pants and know that I just got closer to the next yes.
Awesome. So since March 13, you said? I think it's 13.
We got
it was that weekend
about Des Moines schools on the 12th. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How have you pivoted for your realty and then also Stagerie with COVID-19?
So with real estate, we spent the first few weeks of the pandemic redoing our CRM, looking at some of our procedures. We are continuing to refine our systems. I think I drive Jeannie crazy with all of my ideas, like all the time. The most recent one was this week where I said, I think we need to refresh our homepage. Maybe we should look at Squarespace. And she's like now? And I went, no, just keep it in the back of your mind, but that'll be the next crazy idea. So we did spend a few weeks doing that, spent a few weeks really looking at the finances, making sure that I could continue to pay her, even if I'm not getting paid, and I can, and it's good. And then unexpectedly to me, the market exploded. There's no other way for me to say it. It has exploded. Rates are so low. It's crazy. We need houses on the market. I have plenty of buyers. It's been insane. So haven't had to pivot significantly. We have implemented a few restrictions. I will not show a house without a mask, and I expect my buyers to wear them too, because many sellers have that same expectation. Open houses, don't do them as often. Excuse me, frankly, my sellers don't really want a bunch of randoms in their house, and that's fine. If you are going to come into my open house, I expect you to have a mask on. It is what it is. But other than that, have not done a ton of pivoting. Stagerie, I haven't had to pivot due to the pandemic. I've had to pivot due to the real estate market, because this craziness in real estate is not just in Des Moines. It is everywhere that I've spoken to a real estate agent in the country. Everybody's selling like gangbusters. Rates are so low and there's not enough houses on the market. And so where I'm pivoting is, number one, really focusing on, is there still a value to staging your home for sale? If it's going to sell, why bother? So really working on that messaging, because it may sell, but it still may sell for more if it's pretty.
Yeah.
Or you may have multiple offers because it's pretty, as opposed to just selling for list price. Like, why stop at the list price? Let's get some more money for you. And also focusing on how can I build up my stagers that are associated with Stagerie to help them through this too. So pandemic pivots, not as much. Slight changes in our procedures. Market pivots are big for me.
Okay. So when it gets to the point where, and maybe not now, but anytime where you are just busy and you're busy professionally, but then there's also life happening, how do you take care of yourself as an entrepreneur and in general as a person, so that you don't get to a burnout or a crash point?
There's a couple of times I try not to work, about a day and a half a week. I try not to schedule anything. I will make an exception if I have an out-of-town client. Friday nights and all day Saturdays. Those are my chill times, or my times to laundry, because that stuff still happens, right? Or whatever. Again, if there's a house that hits the market and a buyer really needs to see it on a Friday night because it could be gone by Saturday morning, that is an exception, but it is not the rule. I also am still doing Taekwondo. I've cut it down significantly. I'm doing it once a week. And part of that is because my daughter and I are doing it together. She has gotten busy with school, plus she has no time for me. So once a week is really all I can do. That's it. We do frequent movie nights at my house where we each pick a movie. It's my turn to pick one tonight. I think I'm going to pick 42 because we are so sad for Chadwick Boseman. But we'll see. And we've watched everything from Grease to Romancing the Stone to Hairspray to the autobiography of Malcolm X. It's been a wide variety. I think with the pandemic, I'm doing very few coffee dates in general. I used to do a lot more, and it would be people that would reach out and say, hey, I have a question, can we meet? Sure. People are much more hesitant to do that now, which is great. Still there if they want to call. And so it really has freed up more time for me to focus on work during the day instead of trying to catch up at night. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
My calendar used to be way more booked with non-work activities than it is right now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, actually.
It's nice.
It is.
I'm not sure if I felt the same way when it all started, but now I'm really enjoying it.
Yes, I think it teaches us that we can do a lot online, and still, you know, it's just so much easier to have Zoom calls. And I don't do a ton of them every day, but I'm sitting in my office. I didn't have a commute time or a drive time, and I'm not spending as much money on coffee, which is huge.
Exactly.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So my next question is, do you remember a moment where you just said, oh my God, I did that. I crushed it. I'm so proud of myself. Look what I did. Or like, Paul, look, besides the article thing, because that was a moment.
That was the moment. My daughter was napping when I saw that it came out, and I woke her up. I screamed so loud. She was so mad at me. No, honestly, besides that, I have a hard time with taking a moment to celebrate. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel this way. Maybe this is something I need to be better at, is taking a moment to go, yep, I did that. Nice job. Because we're always looking for, okay, but what's next month going to look like? Or what's my pipeline looking like for next year? Really, last year I took a moment at the end of the year. Our stretch goal was to have 40 closed transactions by the end of the year. That was our stretch. We hit 37. And I was shocked that we hit it, frankly. I was like, oh my gosh, that was my pie in the sky goal. And we came really close. Really close. And I did take a moment to go, yep, wow, that felt really good. But not long enough. And I think it's probably because we're all waiting for the next thing. Okay, is this going to keep going? It's part of, you know, there's no salary. If the business dries up, I need to go get a job.
No, I know. Okay, so what advice do you have for someone who is, so two-part, who is looking to maybe start a business, like has the idea, and then what about a piece of advice for someone who has started a business and is looking to grow? So they're in that year one, maybe month 6.
Okay, so starting a business, do your research, know your numbers, get a good team. It's, and by a team, I mean experts that can help you when you need it. Find an accountant, yeah? Find a mentor. you've got to have people you can call when you have questions. And depending on the business, that may change. For Stagerie, I have a legal advisor who did all my trademark applications. I have a development partner who did all of the custom coding for the site. That's important. You need that team. For somebody that is looking to grow, I would start to question first, what are you missing? Are you trying to grow your client base? Are you trying to grow your profits? Are you trying to grow your overall income? Because the advice can vary. And it's really based on the business. It might be Google ads. It might be Facebook ads. If it's a national business, that's something that we're looking at for Stagerie, is really upping the advertising or having an advertising budget this fall. So I expect people are going to see more about Stagerie coming up on your little phone screens soon enough.
I'm ready.
Yay! Otherwise, it might be getting out there and looking around and finding a different audience that you maybe are interested in jumping in and haven't. It might be getting your name out there. For any business owner, you are the face of your business. It's a role I'm very uncomfortable with. I am the face of Stagerie for now, right? It's not big enough to be beyond me yet. It will be. And you have to get out there and be okay and comfortable and know that it takes time, because as the face, people have to see you 10 to 15 times before it clicks that you do this. So it takes that amount of time. So consistency, there is no shortcut to growing a business, period. I don't care how much money you spend on Google ads or paid leads or whatever. There is no shortcut. There's not. I wish there was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it might be cutting expenses, by the way, to make your current income last long enough for the growth to come.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's ways to support small businesses and entrepreneurs without having to spend money. Or in your case, besides coming to you to sell, buy, or stage a home, what are some other ways that someone can support you and your businesses?
Share my posts. If you haven't liked Stagerie, it's Stagerie. Please do so. Please share. Please share my Home Sweet Des Moines Facebook page, Instagram, etc. Definitely share. That's a big one. Keep it in mind. So people move every 5 to 7 years. So whatever the proportion is it 1 out of 10 people are going to move this year? 1 out of 6 people? I should know this and I don't. Hey, keep it in mind. Somebody says, yeah, I'm thinking about selling my house, but man, I got a lot of cleanup to do. Hey, I know this fantastic service that could do that for you. Have you heard of Stagerie? Huge, huge. You know, we have a lot of public Facebook groups. There's one, the BABs of Des Moines. And whenever somebody's out there going, I need a bookkeeper, I'm always, hey, Deluxe Solutions, Amanda Davis, local business, by the way.
That's a great group.
It
Please
is.
join it if you are an entrepreneur.
And female.
And female.
Sorry.
BAB. I've never heard anyone say BAB. I've always said Babs.
I don't know how to say it, so I've only read it. Maybe it's Babs, but whatever. And there are other groups. There's the Waukee, Urbandale, Clive, West Des Moines, Facebook marketplaces. There's the Des Moines, how can we help you? The Des Moines food options. Whenever somebody says, hey, what's a really good pizza? Taste in New York, man, that's my go-to, right? So things like that help more than you know, because people have to see something in front of them 10 to 15 times for them to buy from it. And that's why you still get the same ads, and it might take you 10 to 15 times. It took me 10 to 15 times of seeing the somersault swimsuit before I finally bought one. Not a local company, but I do love the swimsuit when I have to wear one, which did not happen this summer, thank goodness. But that's how people can support, I think, is just getting the word out. You know, a lot of positive reinforcement, and I try to do that for others as well. and go out there and grow your own business, because frankly, seeing that makes my cup full. I love it.
You do Facebook Live events, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah,
Or
I
when
do
to tune in to your platform?
every other Friday at 11:30. This week is a little off because I'm here instead. I do them, so my next one is on September 18th, and I'm talking with Eric Dominguez from Speak Up Stories. He is a professional coach for public speaking. I also like to promote people in the community, so if somebody wants to be on, just contact me. Okay, I'll put you on. You know,
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And it's terrifying to be on camera, and that's okay, right? I mean, people join not so that we can be polished. There are news programs for that. People join because they like you and they want to see what you're up to. And, you know, that's it. That's enough. So I'm happy to use my platform to help people grow. And it does not have to be real estate related. It's only about a quarter real estate related, because really it's Des Moines. It's this town, city.
What time are those lives? I'm excited for your conversation with Eric.
11:30 on the 18th.
Okay.
And you can also get on my real estate mailing list. We only send out 1 to 2 emails a month, so we don't bombard you, but I have the announcements in there, or you can follow my Facebook page. Yeah.
Okay. We will add all of your pages to the email that we send out to everyone who is registered.
Thank you.
Does anyone have questions for Nora? Or do you have anything else that you'd like to share?
Well, so Jeannie, thank you, put out my favorite coffee map finder in the chat window, just to the panelists. I am going to put it out there, but I probably need to make sure it's up to date. So, but I think it's probably pretty close. Whew. Other than that, I don't have anything else right now.
I think this is great. And I'm so happy to spend my Friday afternoon with you.
Yes! Yes. Well, you were doing an amazing job at the Iowa Center. I'm really seeing the events pop up. I'm so impressed. And
Thank you. I think this team is just outstanding.
Well, we have a lot of resources in Des Moines to help entrepreneurs. That would be another thing I would tell somebody thinking about starting their business. You don't have to go it alone.
Yeah. Call us.
Call them.
We want to talk to you.
Yes, and be a targeted small business if you can. And there's all of those programs help.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, you go on with your day.
I'm gonna go Squarespace.
Yes.
You're gonna go get your tires rotated.
Yeah, I have some things to do today.
Yes. Thank you for having me on, Sarah. I love you. Thank you.
Love you, friend.
Thank you to everybody that participated. Jazz hand wave. Happy Labor Day weekend.
Bye, everyone.